Hello everyone, Johnny Miner here, and today, as per title, we are starting a new Let's Learn Japanese with series, and we are playing Super Mario Advance 4. So, the GBA Game Boy Advance remake of Super Mario Bros. 3. Since we have played so far for the channel Super Mario Bros. 1 and 2, 2 as in the Lost Levels, the Japanese one. Now we are playing Super Mario Bros. 3, and I chose this version in particular since more or less the writings in-game are the same. There are additional ones because, yes, we'll also play the extra content eventually, the reader levels. And, yeah, we'll play Super Mario Bros. 3 thanks to this version. Hopefully it will be... the timing is funny enough, nice considering the potential announcements in the upcoming direct for the 40th anniversary of Super Mario Bros. Speaking of, since today has been the upcoming direct has been announced, we'll, as usual, watch it the next day compared to from when it goes live, because also due to technical difficulties. And so, yes, this Saturday at 3 p.m. for me, so the Sunday hours, well, simply it will be at the same hour as when it goes live, but the day after, and we'll watch the Japanese version. So I simply watch the Italian one on my own live, and then the next day we'll watch together for the channel the Japanese one to see also the differences. Before finally starting playing the game, this series, I ask you again if you have any suggestions for future series on this channel, be them those for Let's Learn Japanese with, or even games mostly just for fun. Please tell me in the comments of this video, of the channel, wherever you want. So, of course, I can't promise we'll play them immediately. I'll try to eventually play them if possible, but yes, not potentially not immediately. Of course, after this current one, in the case of the Let's Learn Japanese with series, also due to considering their the difficulty of the game. To be completely honest, at first I thought of playing. I had other two ideas for the series after Kirby's Adventure, but at the end I wasn't able. We couldn't play them now because while those two games have technically the option to play them in hiragana and not with kanji, of course it would doesn't make sense to play them twice. We won't play enough games. We'll be stuck playing the same games over and over if we start doing that. And of course, it would be better to eventually watch them, play them for me and watch for you with kanji. But of course, it's too early for that. So they'll have to wait. Okay, without further ado, let's start. And yes, here we have a Super Mario Advance 4. And it says on the box art, we can check some things. We have at the top, of course, the platform. On the top left, the platform, Game Boy Advance, and of course the reading katakana. On the top right, simply the Nintendo's logo. Under the Game Boy Advance, we have the e-reader plus logo. Then the rating, the zero rating for all ages. It says. On the right, we have a battle for four people with one cartridge. But of course, we won't check that. And then, of course, at the bottom, we have in the middle the image of the logo. Then the title Super Mario Advance 4 in katakana. Under it, the contents, because it's Super Mario Brothers implied 3 plus Mario Brothers, and then also the 1 to 4 action game, again the battle. So okay, now we can actually start. Just wanted to mention, since there are, if in case you were wondering what the writing said. And now it's making us, asking us to wait a little and not turn off literally the source of the electricity. Now we can watch the intro. Well, I could technically, well, of course, we can actually, sorry, let's go back so I can get, okay. No, it actually doesn't show anymore, so fortunately I think by doing it this way we won't see it anymore. Yeah, of course now it, we are too late, but oh well, at least I managed to translate it, the warning, so let's go back and watch the intro. I restart it, so we can watch it fully from the start, not that... Sorry about the fumbling, but I didn't expect those writings at the start. Although, at least I translated them in case you were wondering what they said. Yes, we see a ship, fine ship, assaulting the castle. Larry Koopa, steering the rod and transforming the king. Okay, this one we definitely want to save, and we'll check it immediately. The letter to Peach from Toad. Luigi, funny enough, was kind of hesitant. yeah, this is also a good reason to play this version, as of course that wasn't present in the original. Before checking that, we'll check that letter we've seen in the intro, since it was already there. It says Piichi-sama. Of course, Peach is a name, and then we have sama, which is a suffix, which means Mr., Mrs., Miss, Ms. There isn't doesn't change depending on who you are talking to, who you are referring to in this case. And it's the same as san, where you might have heard of that, the most common suffix for people. But this one is honorific or respectful language, found after a person's name, also their positions, and so on. And then there are also other meanings to sama, but this is the most common usage of it. So to and then there's an implied I'd say the particle written as he, if it were written in this case, to. But yeah, of course it's clear regardless in this case. It could simply be kind of vocative to call the person to whom Todd is speaking, as we see with the sign at the end of this letter. Then it continues with taihen desu. Taihen is an adjective in this case, also an adverb, but in this case the adjective we can see also because we then have the copula des, of course polite speech since he's talking to the princess. Taihen literally would mean with the kanji it uses. It's a Chinese compound, of course. It literally means big change. And so the meaning becomes immense, enormous, great, but also as in great, immense, enormous, by extension in the sense of serious, grave, dreadful, terrible, which is definitely our particular case here. Difficult, hard, challenging also by extension. And can be used also as an adverb even without any particles in this case. And it simply keeps those meanings of greatly and so very, but also terribly, awfully. So here it says it's terrible, implied the situation, and then of course he explains. Kuppa no yatsu ga kinoko warudo no achikochi de oabare. First we have Kuppa, which is Bowser's Japanese name. Then we have the possessive particle no. In this case, it more than the possessive particle, even though it technically is. It connects it to the following noun to specify it, in the sense, as we'll see, because of the meaning of yatsu. By the way, I didn't mention that tai-hen was unaccented, so tai-hen. But yes, we have yatsu, which means, we'll check its accent as usual, of course, which would mean, usually means fellow, guy, chap. And is a familiar or even derogatory term. Of course, in this case, it's in the latter sense. So it would be kind of, in this case, that implied. Guy Kuppa let's check its accent of yatsu. Okay, accented on the first syllable, yatsu, so was correct. Then we had the subject particle ga. Then we have kinoko warudo, which means, well, first we have kinoko. We check its accent, but it means it's literally son, child of a tree. And it's actually the Japanese word for mushroom, most likely because mushrooms sprout can be found at the bottom of trees. It's accented on the ki. Ki no ko. As you can see, ki, we have even studied it. The kanji, it's tree. Then no, the possessive particle, and then ko, which means child. In this case, it becomes a compound, and even though technically ki would be accented, and so with the following no would become unaccented technically, but here it becomes a compound already as is, and so the accent is actually on the first syllable, kinoko. And technically also uses, despite its origin, it now uses, when written with kanji, even though that's not often the case, it would be written with the kanji for mushroom. And then, of course, we have warudo, which means word from English. We'll check its accent, but it should be on the wa. Yeah, on the wa, warudo. So the mushroom word. Then we have no, the possessive particle. Then we have achikochi. Achikochi is technically a compound because it comes from achira. That way, it's yet again also abbreviated on its own as achi with the double consonant, unlike here. And while it's one of the words, again, of the koso ado series with the distances. And so achira on its own is unaccented. Achi is actually accented on the last syllable, simply because it changes, most likely because it's a contraction, but the basic word achira follows the rule. The distances, as a reminder, ko close to both the speaker and the listener. So far from the speaker, close to the listener. A far from both. Do, the interrogative. And then in this case we had chira. And so it becomes this, that, way, direction. As you might have guessed, since it's identical except for the other distance, kochi comes from kochira. This way, this direction. Same on its own can be found also as a kochi, the abbreviation, the doubling of the consonant, with the doubling of the consonants, like here, and with the accent on the last syllable, unlike the usual koso ado words. As a reminder, only the koso a are unaccented, the do ones, the interrogative ones, are accented on the first syllable. But yes, that way, the direction, this way, direction, by extension, there, and here. So literally, there and here, here and there, as in various places, all around, all over, everywhere, throughout. Yes, literally here and there, but of course it's reversed in Japanese. The accent of achikochi on its own because of course it becomes a compound, and so the accent is on the first chi, because it's technically the last syllable of the first part of the compound. As we have seen, one of the typical spots for the accent in such compounds, it's a strictly Japanese one. So achikochi. So here and there, everywhere, we could say. Okay, sorry. There was an issue apparently. I'll quickly check at which point we were. Unfortunately, I can't see it from there. Sorry, I'll quickly check at which point I arrived before the error, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, I'm back. I've verified. Luckily, if I've seen correctly, we didn't miss much as I was explaining the meaning of achikochi. We'll quickly go through it again, but a quick version, so it will be more of a review if we've already heard it, if it's in the recording. Achikochi, a compound from achira and kochira, abbreviated here, even though on their own, when abbreviated, they're achi, kochi with the double consonant, and so actually accented on the last syllable, while achira, kochira, as usual, like the other words of distance, are unaccented. Ko, close to both the speaker and the listener, so far from the speaker, close to the listener, a far from both, do the interrogative. The words with do are the ones accented on the first syllable, all the other ones are usually unaccented. We add chira, and so we get the meaning this way, this direction, that way, that direction, of course, and so by extension here and there, and so we have the meaning of achikochi, accented on the chi, the first chi, because it's a compound, and we have seen that's a typical on the last syllable of the first part of the compound is a typical spot for those strictly Japanese compound. And so yes, the meaning is here and there, by extension various places, all around, all over, everywhere, throughout. Here and there, of course in Japanese reversed, there and here literally. Then we add we have the particle de, which is the locative particle at, in. It's the one used with most verbs. The only exception is with the verbs of existence. The most typical ones, aru, iru, both to be in the sense to exist, one with inanimate objects, so actual objects and other things, and iru with animate one, and so people and animals. But yes, here we have the most common one, the one used with most verbs. And then we have this word, o abare, technically yet again a compound, a noun. First we have o, which is a prefix, which means large, big, great, and other extended meanings. Fundamental one, big. It's actually the same kanji as the tai above, big change, as I've mentioned. As a reminder, we have already seen it with the adjectives, with the adjective oki, and it's na form okina in previous series. And then we have abare, which comes from abareru, a verb. We'll check its accent. Well, its meaning is to act violently, to rage, to struggle. But yes, the fundamental translation is to act violently. Its accent is, okay, it's unaccented, abareru. And so, literally, big acting violently, because, of course, it's a ru verb each than verb, so we can abareru, so we can drop the ru to make the continuative form, and so the corresponding noun. So yes, big, raging, even bad, literally. And so, rampaging, raging violently, going berserk also on the dictionary. We'll check its accent. Okay, and this one is accented on the A. So the first part, the first syllable of the second part of the compound, another typical location, o abare. It's technically a noun, but we could make the verb, a verb from it by adding suru, the verb to do, so literally to do rampaging, to rampage. In this case, we could technically add it, they didn't, it's clear even as is, but we could add it potentially in translation, which we now proceed to do. This implied, we have to add it in translation, this fellow Bowser, Koopa in Japanese, is rampaging here and there, so everywhere by extension, of the mushroom world. Last but not least, then we have Tasukete Kudasai. First, we have Tasukete from Tasukeru. We check its accent, but it means to rescue, to save. Also, by extension, to help, to assist. Other extended meanings, but the fundamental one here is to help, as in also to save, to rescue, which is our case. We'll check its accent. Tasukeru, okay, accent, so Tasukeru. Then we can change it into its te form here by it's a ru verb, it's done verb, so we can drop the ru, add the te. The form which is required by the following auxiliary verb, kudasai, usually without the long vowel. As you can see, there's a long vowel mark between sa and e, simply added here for emphasis, as if Todd were literally saying kudasai with a longer vowel. Kudasai comes from kudasauru. Kudasaru, we'll check its accent again, but it means to give, to confer, to bestow. It's one of the verbs of giving. This one is honorific or respectful language. And in particular, the point of view is that as superior gives something of lower status and so on. But as we have already seen before, the verbs of these verbs can mean, when added to the te form of verbs, to do the favor of doing the action of the verb in its te form. Literally, to give the favor of doing. Favor, of course, implied. In this case, we have kudasaru. By the way, accented, kudasaru. We can change it. It's technically a verb godan verb, but it's a peculiar one. We have seen it already happen with other verbs, honorific, respectful verbs, that instead of changing the u into i to make the continuative form, they drop the ru and add i. Most likely, I'd say there was an in between where there was it changed the ru into ri, so the u into i regularly, but then the r dropped, and so now they are as in i kudasai. We make the continuative form technically, even though nowadays it's not seen in most of these forms, to add the auxiliary verb masse. Mas, we've already seen it before for the polite form in the affirmative, the present of verbs. But here, masse, it's actually the imperative form of mas. But nowadays, in most expressions, it isn't used, and it's simply implied when we write kudasai. So the form te kudasai, literally, please, implied, of course we are in the polite speech, so polite register, so we should add a please in English. Do the favor of doing the action of the te verb. Kudasai, the form te kudasai is the polite imperative. Sometimes you might find the te form of a verb on its own at the end of a sentence. And in those cases, usually, yes, it's simply an abbreviation of te kudasai. And so, yes, the meaning here is, please, literally, give us the favor, do us the favor of rescuing, implied us. And then we have kinopio. Todd's Japanese name. By the way, it's as you can notice by the kino, is clearly based on kinoko, mushroom. But most likely is also an anagram of Pinocchio. And then there's also the aspect that it has O at the end, which is a typical ending for male given names. And so there we have the letter we've seen in the intro, and so we can finally go back to the game itself. Well, I'd say at this point it makes more sense to take the break now, the usual break around 5 minutes, so that when we're back, when we come back, we'll finally start to actually play the game. Well, of course, checking some more writings, minor writings, but then we should finally start the game. Okay, so see you in around 5 minutes. And we are back. And now that we have checked out, we have read, translated, and explained the grammar of the letter in the intro, we can finally actually start the game. Of course, as I mentioned, we'll quickly check these writings here. Again, we have Super Mario Advance 4 below the image in the center, while on the top left we have the options. Hitori de Asobu. Hitori, we have seen it before. It's technically numeral plus counter. Sorry that the intro was starting again. Combination in Hito number 1. And then we have re, which is the counter used for people when only when it's 1 or 2 people. Usually, otherwise, nin is used of Chinese origin, and so with Chinese readings of the numbers. Here we have a strictly Japanese one, hitori, accented on the to. Then we have the particle de. Well, as could also be actually the copula in its te form. Literally being one person, sorry. And then we have the verb asobu, to play, unaccented, and so play as one person. While the other option is minna de asobu. Minna, we have seen it before, is in previous series. It's the emphatic form of mina, with this additional n is more emphatic and also less formal technically. Mina or minna in our case, accented on the last syllable in both cases, means everyone, everybody. And then of course we have de again, and asobu, and so play with everyone. So multiplayer, we choose single player. And here we can, as it said, choose a game. We can choose between Super Mario Bros. 3 and Mario Bros. Below both and next to the numbers, we can see a writing in katakana, which top. Top, of course, from English, top. Should be accented also on the same, but we'll check. Of course, it refers to the top score. Yes, accented on the top, so on the first syllable. And so we can start Super Mario Bros. 3. And here we can see it's the classic intro of Super Mario Bros. 3. We'll let it. We'll watch it. We can see Mario and Luigi tossing the shell. Mario getting hit, and then going below the stage, the scenery, the setting, and we see some Koopas, Noko Noko in Japanese. Then we have at the top data selecto, data from English, of course, and selecto, select. We check their accent, of course, but they should be as expected based on English. Yes, data on the de, on the first syllable, and also should be for selecto. Selecto on the re, as expected. Of course, then we have all the save files called data1, most likely pronounced with Chinese numbers, so data ichi, data ni, data san. We'll check the reading on the right of them immediately after. Then we have course card, card. And so the e-reader courses. Let's check the accent. Of course, course on the ko, on the first syllable. and should be the same for cado. It's still worth checking when available, because we have seen some words actually being unaccented. Cado, okay, on the ca as expected on the first syllable. At the bottom we have data o kesu. You can barely tell that the one in the middle is o, uo, the object particle, but it is. Uo in careful speech and also singing, usually o. And then we have the verb kesu. Should be unaccented and means to erase, to delete. Also to turn off a light, TV and so on, by extension and other meanings. Fundamental one is to erase, to delete, and yes, is unaccented. And so the option to delete the data. At the right of all the save files and the reader courses, we have hajime kara. Hajime, we have seen it before, comes from the verb hajimeru, unaccented. Which means to start. It's the transitive form of the verb. The intransitive one is hajimaru, to start, to begin, intransitive, and so without something starts. In our case, we start something, the save file, of course. Notice the eru in the transitive form, aru in the intransitive one. Most likely the aru in the intransitive one is because it's actually a classical form of the passive form of the verb, and so then it became the intransitive form of these verbs. Then, of course, in our case, we drop it's a ru verb, it's done verb. We can drop the ru to make the continuative form, and so get the corresponding noun hajime, luckily unaccented as it should be according to the rules, and so beginning, start. And then we have kara, the particle which means from the start, and so we'll do that and start the first save file data 1, data ec, from the start. You can choose the mode, either Mario, on top Mario, and then Mario and Luigi. We choose Mario and Luigi. I think that you can... I don't remember if you can freely switch between them. No, I think you... Yeah, with B. And that's why Mario has that B in the bubble. You can actually choose how many lives each one has. But yes, we alternate between the two brothers. We have then L, which is our inventory of items, as we'll see. Then here we have, with the R bottom, Otehon Kado. Otehon, well, Kado, of course, it comes from English card. Check that first, since it's shared by both. We check its accent. Okay, accented on the ka, as expected, on the first syllable. And then we have Otehon, which has the O honorific prefix, and then we have tehon, which combines the kanji for hand with its strictly Japanese reading with hon, the Chinese reading of another kanji, the one for book, but also origin, and so on. We've already studied, actually both. I'd say in this case it would be basis of the hand, but in the sense of it becomes then the meaning is actually model. A good example, most likely because it actually can be used tehon on its own, without usually the prefix. And by the way, it's accented on the ho, or tehon. It can be used for model handwriting, and that could be why we have that hand in the compound, and then became model in general. So yes, otehon means model, and then we have card. I don't remember what this does, but and then we have otasuke kado. Again, we have the honorific prefix o, and then tasuke, again from taskeru, as we have seen. To help, in this case, I'd say, more than to save, to rescue. Tasuke on its own, yes, accented on the last syllable, luckily, as per the rule, since the verb is accented. I think these are some tutorial things. Quickly check them. Okay, card as in the e-reader. While this one, I think, this one I kind of think I remember that this one might give us an item. We'll actually check these options now. Then we'll actually start the first word. Here it says we check the writing. At the top it says kado I rida purasu, we have the plus symbol, to tsushin shimasu. Kado, card, I as in of course for electronic, then rida, reader. Let me check if I can find the accent. Could also be reader in other contexts, leader, because of course Japanese doesn't have the sound L, and so it becomes the closest one, R. Either way, it's accented as expected on the ri, the first syllable. The plus, most likely read simply as purasu, plus in Japanese, of course. The accent for that is that one is actually one of those words from English that are unaccented instead of having the expected accent from English. And the same is true for its antonym minasu. Then we have the particle to, which means in this case with the card e-reader plus, and then we have Tsushin, a Chinese compound, which means well, technically correspondence, but of course by then it becomes by extension communication, and also transmission and so on. In our case, communication. It's an accent, by the way, yes. And then, of course, we can make the verb by adding suru, to do, so literally to do communication, to communicate. Here, suru, we change it into its continuative form. Unfortunately, suru is one of the two completely irregular verbs, so we simply have to remember that its continuative form is si, needed here to add mas, and so make the polite form present affirmative polite of the verb. And so I'll or implied the game will communicate with the card e-reader plus, and then it asks, it says Tsushin no Junbi. Again, Tsushin, communication. Then the possessive particle no, off, and then we have Junbi. By the way, the n, it is pronounced as m, because of the following labial consonant b, Junbi. I think accented on the first syllable, yes, I remember correctly. It means preparation, arrangements, and so on, but the fundamental meaning, preparation. Preparation of the communication, and then we can press OK. It says that we can't communicate. It says Tsushin dekimasen. So we actually can't check it. I think maybe we have to play the card, the e-reader file first. Yes, it said Tsushin dekimasen. Tsushin again, then we add the Kiru. We have seen it in our previous series. It means to be able to do, and because of its meaning, it actually replaces suru when you want to make the potential form of suru, since it already has the meaning to be able to do. Then, being a ru verb, it's an verb, we can drop the ru to make the continuative form, and then required in that case to add masen. Masen is the present negative form of mas, and so for the polite register. And so it wasn't possible to communicate. Unfortunately, we can't use it. We check if the other option works, even though I doubt it at this point. Yeah, it doesn't work. I think that a suspicion is that you have to start that. So we'll actually start immediately. Word 1, as you can see also on the bottom left corner, Warudo ichi. Warudo, of course, from word, English. We check its accent, but it should be as expected. Yes, on the wa. And so yes, we can start stage 1. here it says Mario Stato. Classic Mario 3. And of course, being Mario Advance 4, one of the Mario Advance games, they added the voices. So we often hear Mario saying, "Just what I needed." Okay, I want to fly here. Yes. Let's see if I can get perfect. We go back to the bottom to see then what was below, but we didn't miss much, honestly, in this case. Well, I want to hopefully not lose our gacha. Our Raccoon Mario transformation. Even though there was a super leaf, as we have seen. Okay, a P-switch. We can press it to turn all these blocks into coins. Okay, let's get rid. Okay, we are. When you see that, it means that we are close. It's the end of the stage, so we want to run and try to get. It says here, course Crea and panel Ghetto. And yeah, we actually, since we have finished a stage, we switch to Luigi. I'll quickly check the accents of those writings we've seen. Course, we have already seen course. Curia, clear. But these words should be yeah, on the re as expected. Curia, clear, just like in English. We check panel. Okay, accented also as expected on the pa. And then Ghetto. Ghetto, unfortunately, doesn't show the accent here. I'll quickly check on the physical dictionary, even though we might not find it even there. Okay, got the physical dictionary. We see if we can find it there. Ghetto. Of course, the dictionary is in the Japanese order, so I got to the Kakikukeko section, then got to Ke, and then I have to find after that the Tsu, Tachitsu the To, and so on. Ghetto. Okay, actually it is on the physical dictionary, and lucky it's yes, as expected on the Ge. So good thing we checked, so as it was here this time. But yeah, without further ado, we can start stage 2. Of course, Luigi Stato in this case. The other typical, another classic. Nice to hear also Luigi's voice. Well, of course, I immediately lose the power up, but oh well. Well, that's nice in the sense that we can check this at least. But yes, the writing, of course, said Luigi. I'll try to use rewind as little as possible, but of course, in this case, first I want to show what's here. A second, of course, we can't. We want to. The show must go on, literally, as I said also before, and so we can't afford to lose time. Too much time. So in a case like that, where in this case I'll keep with my mistake there, but we wouldn't replay the level just to check that secret, and so rewind it is. So it's actually the end of the level. We get another, yeah, here we can see again course, crea panel ghetto. Okay, so funny enough, poor Luigi is small, while Mario is raccoon, tanuki. So we'll play stage 3. Not sure if we'll be able to finish this world today, simply because we also have those extras, the Toad House. We are going there now. And oh, yes, that block sends you up here in the sky. But yes, as I was mentioning, we also have the Toad House, the mini game, and so there will be the respective readings, and we'll check those. Wouldn't be bad, as we can then see how saving works in this version, as I don't completely remember it. We'll see how the game is saved, what it saves, if we stop before finishing a word. And so we'll see if we need to actually save, make a save state or not. But with Luigi we can enter the Toad House. And here Toad says this. We'll check what he says. 好きな箱一つだけあげる. First we have 好き. As a reminder, the U between unvoiced consonants, so it's barely heard if at all. So 好き. Also accented on the last syllable. Which means liking, preferred, favorite. It's a na adjective. Here, actually with na, because there's a following noun modified by this adjective. Noun which is hako. We'll check its accent, but it means box, case, chest. The fundamental meaning is box, but of course then all the extended meanings of box-like objects like cases, chests, technically also package, pack, crate, and so on. Its accent is unaccented, so hako. So literally is the liked, the preferred box. In English, in translation, we could say the box you like. Then we have hitotsu. again, a number plus counter combination. We have again hito, so the number 1, required by 2, the general purpose counter. It's of strictly Japanese origin, so also the number has to be of strictly Japanese origin. The accent, just like hitori, is on the to. Unfortunately, as we'll see, we have actually seen partially before, the accent can be on other parts, depending on the number. But yes, in this case it's luckily hitotsu on the top. Just like hitori. Then we have the particle dake, only. So only one of a general thing, of a something not specified by the counter, not with a specific counter. And then we have the verb ageru. Ageru, which means literally to raise, to elevate, should be unaccented. We have seen before, but we check, of course. Yes, unaccented. But by extension, it becomes another verb of giving. It's technically one of the most generic ones, even though originally, and can be seen by its original meaning, it was more for someone of inferior status, giving something to someone of superior one. Most likely also literally, because you had to raise something, because that person stayed on a higher spot, also physically. Yes, it's technically the most common verb of giving. And yes, so the translation so far is I'll. The verb is in its present form, but the present form can be used also for a future, the future. The future, as long as it's a generic future. We'll see what I mean when the time comes for those other forms. We have technically already seen them. So I'll, of course, implied that it's Toddy speaking, so he's the one doing the action. I'll give you only one box that you like, only one preferred box, literally. Then it says, he says, Kitto nanika no yaku ni tatsu kara. First we have kitto, an adverb. Unaccented, okay, kitto. Which means surely, undoubtedly. Also, most likely, as in quite likely. Here it says, for example, a 90%, and other meanings, but this is the fundamental one. Usually, as in more like surely, but also this most likely. Then we have nani, or better, nani ka. First nani, which means is accented on the first syllable, and mi is the pronoun, which means what. By adding ka to interrogative words such as nani in our case, we make the some version of that word, and so in our case something, technically somewhat, but it's actually what in the sense of an unspecified thing, and so something. You cannot remember it because ka is most likely actually from ka on its own at the end of the sentence is the interrogative particle to make questions. And so it would be something unspecified, and so that's why we use this ka, which is most likely. In this case, I'd also say kitto if I were explaining it in Japanese, the same one, and so the uncertainty, something, is why we have ka. We have to add ka, nanika, something. Also, you can find it since nani can also be found in other words as nan, abbreviated. Technically, there's also nanka. But yeah, more often than not, you find nanika. Then we have the possessive particle no. Then we have the well, we technically have an expression, but this yakunitatsu, but this expression is a combination of the words yaku. We check it. Yaku, okay, accented on the last syllable, which means role, assignment, responsibility, duty, function, job, service. By extension, also position of responsibility, post / office, not the post office, there's a word for that. Another word here is in an office, as in a position of responsibility. By extension, also part in a play, film, the role, the character, and then there's a meaning also in games like in mahjong and so on, but we'll ignore those for now. But in our case, it's the fundamental meaning is role. In our case, as in function, I'd say. Then we have the particle ni. I'd say for in this case, but it's actually required by the following verb and in this peculiar expression. And then we have the verb tatsu, accented, which means to stand up, to rise. Of course, then other extended meanings from these, but the fundamental meaning is to stand up, to rise. And so in literally this expression would be it stand for a duty, a function. And so the meaning of yaku ni tatsu is to be helpful, to be useful. And last but not least, we have kara. In this case, since it's after a verb, it means because. Found at the end of a sentence like this, it's more in the sense of this being an explanation. Or even better, we could also relate it to the previous sentence. I'll give you one box you prefer because, but this is, as we'll see, usually you'd have both parts as a single sentence and because the sentence with the clause with kara will come first. So it would be in the reverse order: kitto nanika no yaku ni tatsu kara suki na ako hitotsu deke ageru. But in Japanese we can do also this by dividing it into two sentences and simply give the explanation in the second one. And so yes, the translation is it's, we have to add it's in English, of course. It's because it surely will have, we have to change it in English, some use. It will be useful in some way. We could also translate it literally. It would be, it would stand for a function of something, and then of course we had kitto, surely, or most likely could be also in this case. So it could be also with the suspension dots after it, that could be that is sure but not completely sure. Most likely it should be helpful, and so we can choose one of these boxes and get power up. Okay, nice, 5 flower, not bad. And as we can see, it goes to our inventory. And so it's not an actual stage, so we can continue to play as Luigi. We start stage 4. And it's the infamous auto-scroller. Classic of platforming games, the bane of players' existence. Of course, I missed the one-up there, fortunately. Okay, I'd like to get this. Yeah, this is mushroom, I remember correctly. This is a one-up. Okay, got it and didn't die. It was kind of risky there. But yeah, I've played Super Mario Bros. 3 before, actually several times. I've watched others playing it, but I've never finished it myself, so this series will be an occasion for me to finally do so. Okay, we'll ignore the boomerang cross there, but we go back and jump. Unfortunately, we got a fire flower, and we'll see what that means. Of course, you want to get the same symbol, and even better if it's the star, of course. You most likely see it as Mario. We have these. Okay, I take... Okay, no. Seemingly it doesn't go away, so we'll keep it. Let's see what this dot says us. Eawase umaku ittara. And then suspension dots. So we stop here. First we have Eawase. Actually twice. I'd say kind of as if he was singing about it, but we see its meaning. It's a compound. Unfortunately, I can't find the accent here. I'll check on the physical dictionary after, but first let's see its components. First and foremost, we have E accented, which means picture. Picture as in drawing, painting, sketch. Also as in image on TV, film, picture, footage. But the fundamental meaning is picture. Then we have awase, from the verb awaseru, accented, which means to match. Actually, as you might have noticed, when I said awaseru, you might have noticed that it's similar to causative forms, which are in aseru. And yes, that's because it's actually a causative form. In this case, not even in classical style. It's actually in the modern way to make the causative form. From the verb au. The verb au means to come together, to merge, to unite, to meet, to fit, to match, to suit, and other similar meanings. So to come together, but to fit, to match. And that's why then au is the intransitive. So by making the causative form, it's a u verb, codant verb, so we change the u into awa. By the way, in this case, it becomes wa, because as a reminder, that's why I've also already mentioned that fact. If you remember, if you've seen the previous series, I mentioned that the verbs in u, as in literally ending with the hiragana u, actually used to be from hu, and so pu. And only later the p, well, it technically stayed, but then it got more less and less pronounced, and so we get it completely fell for the previous for most vowels except for wa. And that's also the reason why we write the topic particle wa as a ha, because it was technically originally pa. Then it became something like wa, wa, and so of course then wa, as it was easier to pronounce, while the other ones technically became we, u remain wu, we and wo, but then those aren't used anymore in Japanese, apart from of course wo, as in the object particle, as we've seen, but even then more often than not is pronounced as o. And that's why the verbs in u now originally were in hu, and so when you change the vowel in a, it would become ha, pronounced as wa, just like the particle, and that's why now it's written as wa. So yes, we changed the u into wa, and then add then seru and make the causative form. So awaseru, also accented, luckily. Again, to match, to join together, to unite. So all the meanings of au, but transitive, because it's actually the causative form. And so literally, e awase, we'll now check of course, sorry. First, awaseru, it's a ichidan, it's a ru verb, ichidan verb, because it's a causative form again, and all those are ru ichidan verbs. We can drop the ru to make the continuative form of the verb, and so the corresponding noun. Matching. And so literally awase is picture matching. Matching pictures as in a game. Okay, we'll check if I can find awase. By the way, awase on its own is luckily accented on the last syllable as expected according to the rules, because the original verb is accented. I'll quickly check if we can find it in the physical dictionary. A. Yeah, no, I don't see him. I don't see it, unfortunately. No, actually I found it. Okay. The accent is on the a, so technically on the second, on the first syllable of the second part of the compound. Again, one of the typical spots for compounds. So awase, awase. Okay. Then we have umaku from umai. Umai, which has several meanings technically. In this case, it would be written with the kanji for above and hand. I think we have seen both already. And then it's simply given this reading, even though the individual kanji don't have those readings. And it means skillful. Then we sorry, let's check also its accent. Okay, accented, so umai. So in our case, as we see, it actually becomes umaku, accent on the U. But yes, we then drop the E and add Q to make this form, which in this case it's to make the adverb, the corresponding adverb. So skillfully. Also, by extension, good, the meaning of the adjective, so well. Then we have the verb itara from iku, unaccented, also pronounced as yuku, which means to go. Then we change we have to make the ta form. Unfortunately, despite being a U verb, codon verb, and so we would follow the rules usually. But this is, I'd say, the only exception when it comes to those. Because instead of becoming, since it's in Q, it would become E, and then we'd add ta or te if we were making the form. But I guess, again, since the step, it originally became I, ki, tara, we simply change the U into I. Then most verbs then change the K dropped, and only the I remained. But I guess in this case, since I, tara wasn't didn't sound good, didn't sound well, or even better, simply because somehow in this specific case only the I dropped, and so it stayed as K iktara, ikta. Let's ignore the ra for now. Of course, that's difficult to pronounce, and so became a double consonant. Ita. Ita. So simply, unfortunately, you have to remember that it goes like that. Funny enough, I think that with these, we have seen all the te forms of verbs. Or at least I mentioned all of them. We haven't seen the verb in nu, for example, but I can tell you that one way to make us remember it, well, I already knew them because I had studied Japanese before then, but at university, to remember it, they made a song, the London Bridge one, and simply added the lyrics of the form of the form. I sing it to you, excuse my singing because I'm not that good at it. It goes like this, if I recall correctly. Rutsute pumunde kuite guite sushite ikuite, the te form. Well, of course, I adapted it the last part because they said la forma in te, so in Italian because I'm from Italy. But yes, there you have all the rules. So ru utsu te become te, bumu nu become nde, ku becomes ite, gu ide, su becomes ste, and then we have iku ite, the exception. And there you have it. I wanted to also nice, since this is the first episode of a new series, so hopefully more will hear it. Well, I'm not happy that more will hear my questionable singing, but it's useful to remember the song because, of course, to remember these the forms of verb, code and verbs. But yes, let's go back to our writing here. We made the ta form, the past form of the verb. Then we had ra to make a conditional form, if, when. We've seen it before in previous series. This specific form focuses on the fact that the action of the clause with if, when has already happened before the action of the main clause can happen, and can also be seen because we build it starting from the ta form, the past form of the verb. And so we have the translation eawase, again, most I'd say kind of like in singing. If it goes well, then the suspension dots. And then we have actually after those, most likely the otanoshimi, and then there's the rest. Otanoshimi comes from tanoshimu, which means to enjoy, to take pleasure in, to have a good time, to have fun, to amuse oneself. But also nowadays usually not used when for the verb, but as we'll see, it's used in this other form, the noun, to look forward to. Most likely because as in amusing oneself, looking forward to something. But yes, the fundamental meaning is to enjoy. As a reminder, I think we have seen before the corresponding adjective tanoshii, which means enjoyable, fun, pleasant, and so on. Also accented, luckily. But yes, tanoshimu, to enjoy. Then we can change, it's a verb, code and verb, we can change the u into i to make the continuative form. And so in this case, the corresponding noun, enjoying, but more often than not, in this case, used, especially with this honorific prefix o before it, as anticipation, looking forward to, something to look forward to. In our case, implies something to look forward to. Then we have the rest. Ikkai, kiri, no daichansu. First we have ikkai. We have seen it in previous series. Yet again, number plus counter combination. Kai means times, as in number of times, a time, an instance. Count is a counter for occurrences. It's of Chinese origin, so we have to use Chinese numbers before it. In our case, ichi 1, so the meaning becomes once. The accent, by the way, of ikai is on the kai. Unfortunately, it's an exception, as we'll see that usually the accent for, well, there are several exceptions actually, but the tendency is for the accent to be on the last syllable of the number. Here could have moved because, of course, there's this phonetic change, ichi, also pronounced as itsu, and then the I or U dropped, it, and then of course the T became simply the double consonant because it was easier to pronounce. So ikai. So once. Then we have kiri. Which is technically a particle, even though I think it actually comes from the word we have seen before, which was kiri, from kiru, the verb which means to cut, and other extended meanings. By the way, another verb used, one of those, a common one, is to turn off, for example, the lights, just like kesu. In one case, in this case, you cut the lights literally, the other one you erased, deleted them. Yes, the fundamental meaning is to cut. It's a U verb, godan verb, despite being in I. Being in iru, so be careful. You can change, it's a U verb, godan verb, so we can change the U into I to make the corresponding noun. Kiri, luckily accented also on the final syllable as per the rule. And in this case, kiri on its own, we have seen that often means end, finish, also end as in bound, limit. As a particle, it means only, just. Maybe because it's kind of the cutting point, the end limit. But yes, the meaning as a particle is only slash just. And so only once. Then we have the possessive particle no. And last but not least, we have dai, chansu. Dai is the most common reading of the Chinese reading of the kanji for big. We have seen the other one also used actually, tai, but dai is the most common one. As we can see also here has a prefix before chansu. Chansu, of course, from English. We'll check its accent. Okay, luckily, just like in English, so on the cha, on the first syllable, chansu. It's and so then there most likely an implied copula. It's a big chance of only once, one time, literally. And so yes, we have this picture matching minigame. And I suck at it, just so you know. Okay, no. Here we might actually get it. And no, we don't get it. Yeah, I suck at it. Okay. Technically we are close to the end of the stream, but we'll play at least one more stage, as it's this fortress, and we'll see it's actually the midpoint of this world. So we'll play it. Okay, Mario, start. Our lava bubbles. Simply Baburu, I think, in Japanese. There isn't a confusion as in English with all the names, Bodabu, Bubble, Lava Bubble. Should be just a Baburu. Those quote-unquote waffles, fire waffles. Don't remember even their actual name, to be completely honest. If they even have one. They should have one, but doesn't show up that often. Yeah, we definitely would play this since it's quite quick, as we are already at the mini boss, which is Boom Boom. We have to jump on his head 3 times. Classic number for bosses, Nintendo games. We pick up that ball, course clear, even though we could barely see it. And yes, you unlock that door. Okay, and here it asks us if we want to save the data up to here, literally. Well, let's translate properly. First, we have Coco. Again, part of the Kosoado series, and so unaccented, since we have Ko. And then we had Ko to make the location. So, literally this place, and so here. Then we have Made, a particle which means to, as in up to, until. So up to here. Then we have another particle, the possessive particle no, to connect all that to the following noun and modify it. Literally off up to here. Noun which is data, again data. Then the object particle o. And then of course we have Cebu. Cebu from English. Pretty sure we have seen it before in other series, and I'm pretty sure it's accented, but we'll still check. Yes, accented on the se as in English. And then we, of course, then can make the verb Cebu, saving. Of course, Japanese doesn't conjugate English words. Then we can make the verb by adding suru. We change then it in its continuative form shi, and add mas to make the polite form. Save, literally do save, but becomes save up, save the data up to this point, up to here, literally. And at the bottom we have the options hi, which means yes, is the most common, the fundamental word for yes in Japanese, accented on the first syllable. There are other words with the same meaning, but this is the fundamental one. And then we have the other one, which is ie. Of course, it's the opposite, no. Here it doesn't show the accent, but if I check the physical dictionary, it should be on unaccented, I think. We'll see if we can find it. Technically accented on the last syllable. But as a reminder, if you don't add then anything else, words accented on the last syllable and unaccented ones have the same accent. Only when you attach something to them, then you can hear the difference. But yes, we have yes or no, and of course we want to save. And there it said Seibu shiteimasu. We make the form of suru. We simply have to remember that it becomes shite because it's completely irregular. And then we add iru, again to be to exist, as in to exist of animate objects, so people and animals usually, but as an auxiliary verb in the te imasu, te iru form, it becomes a continuous action or a continuous state. So either the form to be doing an action or to have add something, as in a state that continues. In our case it was a continuous the game implied is saving, and so a continuous action. And with that, we got to the midpoint of this word, so we can exit. Well, we'll quickly check these options in the menu, the pause menu. We have Suzukeru. We have seen it in previous series. It's the verb to continue, the transitive form. The intransitive one is Suzuku. I'm pretty sure both are unaccented, but we'll check. Yes, both are unaccented. To continue. And so if you want to continue and go back to the game, you can press that. At the bottom, I mention it now because we won't press it. It's suripu. Sleep from English. We'll check the accent if I can find it here. No, unfortunately it's not there. Let's check the physical dictionary quickly if we can find it there, but I feel that we might have seen it before and couldn't find it. I might be wrong. I'm thinking of it because of course our previous series was Kirby's Adventure, and so the story of the tale of the Fountain of Dreams in Japanese, Kirby of the Stars then of course. So yes, nope, yep, I think we have seen it before that I could only find the sleeve there, so I'd say most likely accented just like in English, so very sleep, suripu. So sleep, and this is the sleep mode that Game Boy Advance had. So we won't press it. And then we have Chudan Seibu. Of course, Seibu at the end is again save. And then we have Chudan, Chinese compound, which means unaccented, which means interruption, suspension, break. Literally, Chu is the kanji for middle, also inside, but here middle. Well done is has several meanings, but the fundamental one is severance, cutting. So severance in the middle, of course, the meaning is interruption. Interruption, suspension, break. So interrupt and implied save, and we choose that. Okay, no, this is technically used only to go back to. You can use it only once. Well, we'll check this screen another time, since now we have to end. So I'll actually do it this way. Let's make a save state just to be sure. Then I'll go back to the title, we'll open it again, and we'll see if, but without saving that way, it actually, technically it should have saved while we were after the fortress. And yeah, it technically, as we can see, it's word 1. Don't remember the number on the right, what it means. And yeah, it actually saved, so I didn't need the save state, but we have it anyway, in case we need it. So yeah, we can close. And yeah, of course, we'll continue on Friday with this series. Unfortunately, on Friday, when the Nintendo Direct will happen, but due to my technical technical limitations, we won't be able to watch it live. We'll have to wait it for Nintendo to upload it to the news section here on Switch 2 to get at least somewhat decent video quality. And that will be, if everything goes like the previous times, the next day. So yes, we'll watch it the next day, that, while on Friday, so on Saturday, I'll stream me watching my reaction and my comments to the Japanese Nintendo Direct, while on Friday we'll continue Super Mario Advance 4. Okay. See you next time.